There is just something about the 80s that makes us long to revisit them, especially the movies that envisioned the near future. They had a unique flair, often dystopian and gritty, yet somehow vibrant and colorful at the same time, over the top, but undeniably earnest in their characters, action and storytelling. Oh, and of course, plenty of neon. Today we're looking at a game that's the perfect amalgamation of 80s dystopian sci-fi action tropes. If you threw Blade Runner, RoboCop, Terminator, and countless others into a blender, then added a dose of 80s and 90s run-and-gun games, the smoothie you'd get would be Huntdown, developed by Easy Trigger Games. In this sci-fi run-and-gun shooter, you take control of one of 3 bounty hunters, tasked with hunting down the leaders of 4 giant gangs, straight out of films like Mad Max, The Warriors, or Escape from New York, that terrorize the streets of a post-apocalyptic world ruled by corporations. If you've ever watched any of the aforementioned movies and thought, damn, I'd love to take down dastardly dystopian delinquents like that, well, it's the perfect game for you. Evil punks with painted faces, goons wearing hockey and football uniforms, legionnaire bikers, and gangsters in samurai gear. You've got it all. Gameplay-wise, it's very reminiscent of 90s arcade run-and-gun games, combining elements of titles like Contra, Metal Slug, and Rolling Thunder, with a touch of Mega Man. But it manages to create something unique and new, even though you constantly have the feeling you've played something like it before. I don't think there's a game that's exactly like this. The gameplay and the goal of each stage are pretty simple and straightforward. Reach the end of the level and defeat the respective boss. To do that, your bounty hunter is equipped with their standard gun, which has an infinite amount of bullets, and an individual specialized weapon, like a boomerang. You run, jump, and shoot your way to the exit, all while dodging enemy fire, blasting away dozens of thugs, and avoiding the occasional stage hazard. Killed enemies may drop different weapons, which can be used until they run out of ammo, and each handles differently. For instance, shotguns lack range, but deal heavy damage up close, while machine guns offer rapid fire. Even though the gameplay is fast-paced and requires good reflexes, you'll still need to approach certain situations methodically. For example, deciding which weapons to reserve and when to use them, or how to deal with the different enemy types the game throws at you. Sometimes it's best to take it slow and hide behind cover. To avoid enemy bullets, you can crouch behind crates or obstacles, or hide in alcoves in the background. Each boss at the end of a stage feels unique and requires a different tactic. Learning their patterns and behaviors is crucial to defeating them. Because let me tell you, most of these bosses are badass. The fights can get extremely challenging. The challenge in general is fairly high on normal difficulty, but it's rarely frustrating, as you're given infinite lives and the checkpoints are quite generous. Several things set this game apart from other run-and-gun shooters. For example, games like Contra or Gunstar Heroes tend to throw enemies at you from all sides and fill the screen with so many projectiles that it's easy to lose track of what's going on. That's not the case here. You always have a fixed number of enemies in each stage, and their placement is always the same. It's designed in such a way that it's easy to keep track of what's happening. Compared to more methodical run-and-gun games like Rolling Thunder, you move a lot faster, are more agile, and can dodge enemy fire by jumping over projectiles or to a platform at a different altitude. And the fact that you can shoot while jumping makes the experience faster paced and more accessible to the average player by comparison. What I personally love is that every stage can be completed in a short amount of time, if you know what you're doing, which makes it extremely easy to just pick up and play, and it makes replaying the stages a lot more inviting. Each stage also comes with a couple of bonus objectives. Find 3 hidden stashes, kill a set number of enemies, and finish the stage without dying. It's unlikely you'll be able to complete all 3 of these in every stage on your first playthrough, so the game's definitely meant to be replayed several times. There's also 2-player couch co-op. As far as I could tell in my short multiplayer session, playing with 2 players makes everything a little easier, as the number of enemies remains the same. But it's definitely fun to shoot these dystopian gang goons alongside a friend. Of course, I need to mention how gorgeous this game looks. The pixel art, especially the backgrounds, is absolutely beautiful, and everything is accompanied by wonderful rock and synth music. The fluff in general is handled well, the cutscenes are visually appealing, and you can read intel on each bounty to learn more about them. The main campaign comes with 3 difficulty settings, and an unlockable 4th one. The chosen difficulty mainly affects how much damage you can take before you kick the bucket. On the 4th difficulty, badass, a single hit kills you. Not my cup of tea, but if you're masochistic enough, you might get a kick out of it. There's also the arcade mode, where you try to beat all stages of one gang in succession on hard difficulty, and go for high scores. You're technically given a limited number of lives, but if you run out, you merely lose 10% of your score, and your lives are refilled. Now I gotta mention some minor issues I have with the game. One is with some of the writing, because there are a couple of jokes that don't quite land for me, as they're basically just references. Quotes like, "Hail to the King" or "I'm the God of Hellfire" are thrown in, and there's a boss who talks exactly like Randy Savage. I'm not sure why this is necessary, and it's the kind of humor that doesn't really get a reaction out of me. But humor is a very subjective thing, so that might just be me. And since the story is otherwise told with a pretty straight face, the aforementioned 80s earnestness does come across. Another issue is that some bosses have way too much health, and go on for a little too long. Sometimes you spend ages slowly chipping away the boss's health bar until it's depleted, and then it's on to phase 2. And when you die, you gotta start the whole battle over again. And I feel this doesn't really match the overall pacing of the game, because the stages themselves are nice little snacks that can be beaten quickly. With the bosses, I sometimes feel like, yeah, I get it, can we just skip this and move on? One bigger problem that many people may have an issue with is the lack of online multiplayer. I mean, I commend the developers for sticking to the whole old school arcade mentality, but in this day and age, it's a little sad that you can't play with your friends online, especially in cases like mine where friends live scattered around the globe. But if that doesn't bother you, and if you're not tired of 80s stuff or 2D retro-style games yet, you are searching for a bit of a challenge and want some straightforward, nicely paced action, all while listening to some nice synth tunes and blasting away evil 80s thugs, I wholeheartedly recommend a trip to the dystopian streets of Huntdown. That's all from me. If you want to help me out, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.